and the place of giving, even as we learn financial intelligence. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Okay, so we are back up. Okay, so now we have talked about the pillars, we talked about the components. How can I then improve my financial intelligence? Okay, on my own, how do I understand some of these things? How do I improve on my intelligence? I have a little knowledge, how do I know more? So one of the things you can do is to accept learning, embrace learning. So there are books. So some of the books that I have read that I also recommend to people are some of the ones I mentioned there. There's Your Money or Your Life, Broke Millionaire, Total. So these books, you can just look them up. And like somebody will say, I don't have time for a book. What can I do? So we have the YouTube, we have podcast, this time and age is so sweet that you can get some of this information online without having to pick a book and go for it. So even if you lack finance background, you can always learn from podcasts, from channels, YouTube channels. There are some, you find some channels that every day they just drop a 1 minute, 2 minutes podcast, 1 minute, 2 minutes, few seconds quotes about how you can invest, how you can save, how you can gain intelligence financially. So all of these things, everybody, we are all IT savvy, so I'm sure we can always get that. So the other one is we should continue to track our spending. This is very important. You cannot say, I don't even know how the money finished. It's not a wise one. It's not a wise way to live. We need to understand where our money is going to. If I give you $1,000 today, that's always another question we ask. If I give you $1,000 today, what will you do? If you have a budget, if you have the habit of keeping a budget in the past, the moment, or you have a financial plan, let me put it that way, the moment someone talks about, if I give you $1,000 today, what will you do? The thing will just start flowing. It will just come. Because you don't have to start thinking, what will I do with $1,000? So $1,000, what's the conversion rate safe? You don't need to think about that. What will I do with $1,000? You just start thinking, $200, I'll put it in this investment. $300, I'll put it in this. Another $300, I'll put it in this. This one, I'll use it to flex. This one, I'll use it to do this. You just begin to talk about it. So we need to track. It's no longer business as usual, that the money comes and just go, and you just don't understand where it's going to. Now we need to track our spending. Very important. I tell another thing I tell people is, some people say, my rent, I only pay yearly. You can save a monthly portion of your rent. If your rent is, let's say 500,000 or ₦1 million, you look at it divided by 12, you can start saving a portion of it. So that at the end of the year, or by the time you want to pay your rent, you don't have to start racking your head down. Where will I get 1 million to pay? Or by the time you pay your salary, or maybe an allowance in the office, you just carry all the old money, drop it into rent. What happens to other aspects? You become stranded. So we need to track our spending. It is very important. So we need to start saving. If you have not been saving, you need to start now. You can do 100 naira. We have, there are so many apps now. There are apps that you can do 100 naira daily. You can automate it. By 12 o'clock, automate, take 100 naira from my account. Every day, those apps will be taking the 100 naira. If you don't want it, if you have to get a piggy bank, get one and start saving. You will be surprised at, I tell people that 100 naira, sometimes it's so easy to just drop 100 naira. If you feel that is very convenient for you, 200 naira every day, drop it somewhere. The day you will be, in quotes, stranded, that you really, really need money, you'll be shocked at how that savings will help you. So we need to start saving. We need to begin investing. We have been talking about investing. Some of us have heard about investing long time ago. We need to start implementing all of these things. You can start with low risk investments. We have treasury bills, we have fixed deposit. Those ones, you can easily do that with a bank. And we have the mutual funds. The mutual funds in Nigeria, and for those of us outside the country, they do ETF. ETF is like a mutual fund where you can also do small amounts. With $100, you can invest in ETF. So ETF is similar to mutual fund. It's a pool of fund where you can just invest. In Nigeria, they do a minimum of 5,000 to start. Subsequently, you can always add your 2,000. When you just drop it there. And the beauty of this mutual fund or ETF is that you can easily withdraw. So for most of them, they'll just tell you, you have a holding period of maybe 30 days or 60 days. When you put it there, if you need it or if you need the money on Friday, if you apply like on Wednesday, you will get it like Thursday or Friday. You can easily withdraw. So it's easy for you to put money and also to take money out, just like your bank. But the difference is that with mutual fund, if you put 100,000, what you'll be getting back is more than 100,000. But with your bank account, if you put 100,000, what you will get back is either 90,000 or 98,000, because the bank will remove their charges. So that's the difference. Then we need to minimize our debts. Not all debts are good. There are good ones. I can tell you that there are good ones. But those good ones also, you need to understand the costs, the risk, the collaterals, the charges that are involved, so that you will not be drained at the end of the day. Then we need to have a plan. Have a plan in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, financially. Just like for some of us, academically, we have plans. For our children, for our marriage, we have plans. So financially also, we need to have a plan. What is my plan? Someone like me, I want a house in Ikoyi. So I don't know if you're like me. So we need to have a plan. Also, we need to practice discipline. Very important. We all need to practice discipline when it comes to money. Some of us don't know where to put restraint. What you don't want, you don't need to buy. Oh, it's because my colleague is the one that is selling it. He forced it on me. You chose it, you accepted it. What happens in banks is somebody comes with shoes and everything from England and everybody is just buying on credit. And I just shake my head. Something you will buy in Nigeria at maybe 5,000, somebody comes and tells you it's from UK and sells at 30,000, you can buy it on credit. But the truth is, most times people don't really need all of those things. So we need to practice self-control when it comes to money. So I think this should be like almost the end. So secrets that will help us create sustainable wealth. So we have talked about so many pillars and everything. So another thing we need to have in mind is to develop a wealthy mindset. Our mindset is very important. If you think you cannot, then you cannot. If your mindset says, well, all of these things they are saying, I don't think I can. I'm telling you the truth, everything that has been said, you will not be able to implement. Your mindset is very important. Your perception about money is very important. So except you develop a wealthy mindset, all of these things may not work. Some people will tell you it is the rich that will forget it. If you develop a wealthy mindset, you have a financial plan, you work with those pillars, I'm telling you, you will create a sustainable wealth, not just for yourself, for generations to come. So we need to set clear goals. And in setting clear goals, we need to invest in the right instruments. So you can always get information online, just like we mentioned about embracing learning. You can always speak to financial experts to guide on the right instruments also. Then we need to create multiple streams of income, very, very important. So when we talk about multiple streams of income, it does not mean you should start a business. It does not necessarily, let me put it that way. For some people, it's a business, it's through a business. For some, it's through investing that is multiple other streams of income will come. So we can no longer rely on one stream of income and expect that will be sustained all through our lives. So we need to have multiple streams of income. And finally, we need to minimize our debt. It is not every loan that you'll be collecting. Payday loan, you are there. Car loan, you are there. House loan, you are there. At the end of the day, repayments will now choke you. Other aspects of life begins to suffer. You begin to shout at everybody. So it doesn't work that way. So we need to find a way to minimize it. Those things we don't really, as in our wants, we need to find a way. It's not everything we need to buy. It's not everything we need to have. If they are not needs, if they are not necessary, if they are not important, we should let go. So our relationship with money is based on our understanding of finances. It will enable us to make decisions that will benefit both us in the present and also the future. So by adhering to the pillars mentioned above, you can develop sound financial abilities and achieve long-term financial stability and security. And this security is not just for yourself, it's also for your children. Remember that acquiring financial intelligence requires ongoing learning. So it is not a once and for all thing. Things change, things happen. So it's ongoing. And this is a quote by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure most of us have read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it said, money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. That money will finish. Then how do you get more? Intelligence will help you get more. Thank you. Okay, so if you have questions or, okay, if we have, I think it's more of questions, or you need clarification on one or two things that we can quickly speak to. So you can come up with that. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, please, questions.
Hello.
Okay, so who is coming up first?
Okay, good evening. Hello. Shut your mouth. Off now.
Okay, good evening, ma. Okay, thanks for that well-detailed presentation. So you talked about investment. So on the other side, I was thinking, you said it's not a good thing when you are earning and every of the morning you are earning, you can't fraction out a bit of it for saving. So I want to ask, can I term personal investment as a form of investing? For instance, if I'm earning and all my money using it towards personal development, maybe education. I'm trying to earn certification. And as a result of that, I can't even have any percentage of money I want to spare out to save for a period of time. Is that a good form of financial intelligence?
Okay, so thank you for that. Okay, so if it's because this is a general class, so for that question, I would have asked some personal questions to really understand if truly you cannot spare any amount for savings. So one of the things I will ask is, how much do you earn? That's one. How much are you saving towards education? That's two. What percentage of that inflow goes to expenses? So I will analyze what your inflow is to be able to say categorically that you cannot save. Because I tell people that, okay, are you saying you cannot save 100 naira daily from what you earn, even though you are saving towards college? Are you saying you cannot spare 1,000 weekly? So except you are telling, so there are so many things, there are some questions I will need to ask before I can say that it is a good thing that you are doing or not. So I can't just say categorically that it is financial intelligence. Because one way or the other, I want to believe that you can spare 100 naira or even up to 1,000 as savings. Okay, so one of the question I have here talk about risk with savings. Okay, so one of the risks is loss of income or loss of money or loss of funds. Let's put it that way. Okay, so for example, you have the money in a bank. Anything can happen with the bank and you're unable to get your money back. But one of the things CBN is doing currently, based on past events, is trying to insure these funds also, so that at the end of the day, one will not lose both capital and interest. So for example, I think that should be maybe 2016, 2017, there's this company, CDL, Consolidated Discount Limited. So a lot of people invested in it. At the end of the day, they lost both capital and interest. But fortunately, a portion of the business was actually invested, it was actually insured, let me put it that way. The events happened 2016, 2017. Till date, they are still repaying the capital to those that invested since then. And what they are doing is that portion that was insured, they are trying to use the money, like investing the funds, to generate more money so that it could take like 10 years, 15, 20 years. Eventually, everybody will get their capital, but they already announced that you cannot get your interest. So that's the risk of saving. So whether you save with a fintech, you know, some people are always scared of using a fintech company. Some will tell you they don't have a physical office. Some will tell you because it's an app, you just save, anything can happen. The same risk that the one in GTB or UBA will incur is the same risk that fintech, anything can happen. But fortunately, most of these companies are being guided now, and they also insure all of these funds so that at the end of the day, even if you don't get your interest, you will always get your capital back. So the right instruments to invest in. So the thing is, it depends on individual. There are a lot of instruments. So it depends on you. It depends on your risk appetites. How much risk can you take? For those that can really, really, really take risk, there are investments, you know, those ones, if you can really, really take risk, there are a lot of investments you can do. For those that can only take small or little risk, there are also instruments you can invest in. So if you are a low risk person, you can do fixed deposits, you can do treasury bills, you can do FGN, federal government bonds, you can do mutual funds. Those ones are in Nigeria. And you can also do something called ETF. ETF is US. You can do real estate. You have Nigeria denominated, you have dollar denominated. Those ones are good for conservative people, low risk. I want my money, but I don't want anything to just happen. No, I don't have hearts if anything happens to my money. But for those who have hearts, who feels, yes, you can go all out, those ones can also do mutual fund, but the mutual fund they will do is different to a low risk person. Because mutual fund, there are different kinds of mutual fund depending on your risk appetite. If you're a low risk, you will do money markets, fixed deposit, just do those small ones that you have your capital, it's safe. But if you are a very high risk person, you can do dollar denominated mutual fund. Those ones, they are for those that have hearts. They are not moved by market volatility or anything. Ride or die, they are there. You can do the dollar denominated investments in the US, in the UK, they are there. And those ones can also delve into Forex, crypto, they are there. But for the conservative, they don't go towards that. So we don't advise that for conservative people. So that's it. So I've taken all the questions. Okay, Bro Femi's hand is up. Bro Femi, you can go ahead.
Okay, you can't unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. You talked about the future investment, and you gave an illustration of yourself wanting to get a house in Ikoyi. And I thought about that if, for instance, I also want to get a house in Ikoyi, and I pick up a savings, probably on a monthly basis, for them to remove like 50,000 out of my salary. And then based on the present, I've calculated it based on the present position of things, that getting a house in Ikoyi will cost me, maybe let's say a 3-bedroom flat, will cost me like maybe 10 million thereabout. And I tried to like, okay, save towards maybe like in the next 4 or 5 years, thinking that yes, I will definitely get a 3-bedroom flat. And due to the change in economy and also inflation, in the next 5 years, is there no possibility that things might change? The house I'm thinking I want to get for 10 million naira might end up becoming 60 or 80 million naira. Then what then is the purpose of my future investment?
Okay, so if I get your question right, so you are looking at, you want to get a house in Ikoyi and you want to save. Okay, so currently, the house in Ikoyi, okay, let me give you an example. At least I have, I can give you prices of houses in Ikoyi currently. For a finished house, let's use a finished house and not a shell house. So finished house, depending on where you are getting it from. So let's just look at, you're looking at a 500 million. So now you want to buy a house, currently is 500 million. So you look at yourself, how much do I earn? How much can be deducted from what my income is? Based on what I earn currently, how much can be deducted that will help me to achieve this 500 million. So one of the things I tell people is, number one, for 500 million today, you cannot even do savings. I won't even advise savings, because what it means is that, let's assume you are doing 50,000, just for example, you are doing 50,000. So at the end of the day, probably, you know, it's the interest rate on savings is not a monthly thing, it's a yearly thing. And let's say it's 10%. Now divide it by 1 month that you have put in 50,000. That will not work in the long run. One of the things that could work could be investments, but investing the fund. But investing the funds also, you are looking at a 500 million and you are doing 50,000. Then you need to increase that inflow. That's investment. 50,000 will not work. That's another option. So the other option that is also that the federal government is trying to push, and it may really work for those who are in paid employments. That is a mortgage, where you get a mortgage to get a house and you repay over time. So based on your own current inflow, you will look at it. Do I think Ikoyi house, I can afford it at this time based on my current status? So why not look at other places? Why Ikoyi first? Why not look at an area that you can still buy a house for 20 million, get the mortgage and repay, or even do investing? And instead of starting with an Ikoyi of 500 million today, which the price may actually change in weeks, the price can change. So you can, it's not so, when I talk about having a financial goal, look at your present status. You don't have to start with Ikoyi. What is my status financially now? Based on my current status, what can I afford? So you look at it, go for what you can afford instead of starting with an Ikoyi of 500 million. That's another option. So viable options, what viable options are available with limited income? With limited income, you can start with mutual fund. So easy. Just start with mutual fund. You can start with 5,000 naira with mutual fund. And you can always top it up with 2,000, your 1,000. And you have the Stanbic IBTC does mutual fund. You have FBN Mortgage does mutual fund. FBN Quest, sorry. You have Optimus does mutual fund. So you can always start with mutual fund of 5,000 naira and you top it up monthly with your 1,000, with your 2,000. So easy. Then particular software. Yes, there are actually apps that you can get with budgeting. I know I know a friend uses one, I think that should be Pocket Guard. I have a friend that uses Pocket Guard. So you can always go online. There are applications, there are softwares that will also aid in successful budgeting. So all you need to do is, it will ask questions. How much, what are your total inflow? Put in your inflow there. What are your regular expenses? It will automate when you put them there. So monthly, it will automate those expenses for you. So by default, it will also help you to have a budget, a monthly, a weekly, a yearly budget, depending on how you map it. How should we strategize for unexpected events, and what portion of savings should be allocated to it? So you have even mentioned it. In strategizing for unexpected events, have an emergency fund. So portion of saving to emergency fund. So the thing is, it depends on individual. There's no fixed portion. So for you as an individual, let's say your income is 5 million per month. By the time you remove all the essentials, your utility, school fees, all of those things, probably you still have 3 million left. Out of the 3 million, you decide that you want to invest 1 million, you want to save 500, so for somebody who, after deducting all essentials and still have a lot left, it's always easy to maybe advise maybe a 10%, a 20%, depending on the amount you have. So, and that's why we don't really say, do this. There are different rules that people adopt. Some people do the 50-30-10, 50-30-20, 50 investments, 30 savings, 20 for, some people would say 50 for my needs. The remaining 50, I will share it between my savings, among savings, investments, and emergency fund. So there's no one rule fits all. So it depends on you. It depends on your residual amounts after deducting all essentials. What do you have left? For some people, they can be earning 100,000 every month and still save 50,000 out of the 100,000. Conveniently save 50. For some people, out of 100,000, they can conveniently save 60,000. I have people that save up to 50,000 of their inflow. You know, for most of those people, probably they are not married. The responsibilities are not so much. So the expenses are not always much. So it's easy for them to do 50% straight up. While for some, nah, they can't do up to 50. So you just look around what you have and what your inflow is and find a way around it. Does speculative in get classified as delivery? So in investing, it does not. Like I mentioned, it's not Ponzi. So there are rules that govern investing. Whether you're investing in government bonds, treasury bills, fixed deposits, there are rules that guide. So if you walk to UBA today and you tell them, I have ₦1 million to fix, they can tell you 8%. If you go to the same UBA next week, Monday, and tell them you have another 1 million, they can tell you 2%. The same bank, the same amount, but different rates. So it's the market, it's the volatility of the market, it will determine. So speculative investment does not classify in investing. Thank you. Sportingbet is not a form. Okay, under investing, no. Sportingbet is not under investing. It is not a form of investment. Then seed in church, religious establishments. So it depends on how you are looking at it, but it could be a form of investment if you are looking at it from the spiritual angle. Yes. Okay, Professor. So our time is, okay, Professor, please go ahead. Professor, please go ahead.
He may not be able to unmute him. Can you unmute him? Or the host can do that for us.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you very much for the insightful seminar on investment. So I'm not too sure, maybe I've missed it, but I want to ask, I think you also encourage about maybe buying shares in Nigerian stock market. So I want to ask how, based on your expertise and experience in the financial industry in Nigeria, to what level can you guarantee or advise people to buy shares in Nigeria? So I'm asking this question like a naive person. I think so many years back, I think it was in 2008, I think I was doing IT then. So then there was these shares people were saying, oh, go and buy shares and all that. I think it was Transcorp Hill or something. And I bought the shares for maybe 10,000 naira then. And all of a sudden, we just said that they went into coma or something because Obasanjo left the press. But I think Obasanjo was one of the major shareholders at that time. So for me, I just left it. As we were talking, I remember that, I used to have a share somewhere. What will you advise me to do? Should I just forget the money? Is this reasonable to get something out of it? And what is your advice about shares, generally speaking now, based on that experience? Because after some years, it just becomes something else.
Okay, thank you for that. You know, I remember this Transcorp thing actually. At that time, I was working with an investment company, and I remember my boss said something and was telling people, some people actually got a loan for that shares then to buy the shares. And he advised them not to. So number one, when you talk about guarantee, there's no guarantee anywhere. That's it. Market volatility happens everywhere. So another thing you need to understand in investing in those type of shares is speaking with an expert. So probably at that time, so I remember then when Transcorp came, it was because of the people behind it. Everybody just rushed. They did initial offer then. Everybody just rushed to buy. They saw the names of people, but unfortunately, people did not really read the prospectus to understand. And it wasn't also a share that you will buy now and the price will just jump up in 1 to 3 years. They were raising the money for investments, and that investments may not take up, as it may take like 5-10 years before it will come up. And very funny, Transcorp is doing well now. So you can actually get your shares back anyway. So that's by the way. But so for investing in Nigerian stock, you can. Based on performance, past performance, we have the Zenith Bank, we have the GTB, we have the UBA, the PZ that have been doing well consistently with bonus and dividend every year. And they have been consistent with it. GTB pays dividend twice every year, and they have been consistent. It's actually one of their goals. They want to always pay dividend every year, so they work towards it. You have for some of us, we don't like investing in maybe the breweries. So you have the Guinness also doing well. So there are companies, and if you are not comfortable with Nigerian stocks, you can do the US stock. You can invest in the US stock exchange too, even from Nigeria or from anywhere in the world. And also know that market volatility happens to all, so there's no guarantee. But it's also an option. You can invest in US stock exchange from anywhere in the world. There are different applications you can use to do such investments. Then how can you get it back? Okay, I will help you with the name of the registrar. So I will get it to you. You can always send a mail to the registrar. They will fish it out for you. Thank you. So I'm done from this side.
Thank you very much, our facilitator.